body, all through your body, like a 12 gauge Sade. What's up, everybody? We on the DNT podcast with a new guest. His name's Cam. He's a rapper. We also have like the same name. Say what's up.
Yo, what's good? What's good?
Right. I'm just gonna ask you a series of questions, like an interview type. I'm just gonna start off with my first question. What
Sure.
made you want to be a rapper?
Mm. I really did at first really get introduced to like music, like gospel music and stuff like that as a child. But I just remember one of my older brothers having he had this blue Ford 2-door, man. He had put speakers in the back, and he used to always listen to like Mobb Deep, Jay-Z, Fabulous, all these different rappers. And feeling that experience was the first thing that had me like, wow, this is so dope. I want to try this.
Right. Okay. So after you listen to Mobb Deep, all these type of rappers, how do you think you wanna expose your career? How do you want to push your career? Are you trying to aim to be on a record label or try to be independent? What's your trajectory of what you want your career to be?
I got a lot of respect for artists who take the independent route. I think it's a lot more possible today than before. I'm not opposed to no deals, but at the same time, I look at myself as really like wanting to own a lot of the work I'm doing. So independent is absolutely an ownership, my first route. But you feel me? It's all about doing good business for me.
Okay. Um, I also want to ask, do you feel like do you want to, like, I know nowadays, the radio is kind of different nowadays, but do you feel like you would have to make like a radio hit or something that would appease the mainstream audience if you would have to, or would you stick to just underground, you know, accessibility instead of mainstream accessibility?
I feel it. Man, to be honest, I like both. I love to be able to listen to certain music in certain settings. So for me, sometimes I like to really stretch myself and get creative in that way to where I can do some top 40, what I'm saying, real mainstream music. But my heart is really in, the jazz hop of the world, the backpack type music. That's what I feel like I write and connect with most.
Oh, so like a little, so like a Tribe, Lupe Fiasco, early Kendrick, J. Cole, Friday Night Lights type style, right?
All inspirations, yeah, most stuff.
Right. I listen. I think I feel like you could be up there with your mixtape. It's easier now. Do you feel like it's easier now for mixtapes to blow up than it was, maybe like 11, 12 years ago?
I think access to people is a lot easier. Um, I do think the work is kind of the same because just the amount of effort that it takes. Granted, some people can kind of, we see a lot of people blowing up in a way that's maybe they weren't all the way seasoned, in that point, and we kind of saw they process them grow afterwards. But I do think it's a little bit easier at the same time, though. It's you still got to put in that same amount of work, you feel me, them 10,000 hours to get to that point to where you on that level with the greats.
Right. So now that you see this, like, do you feel like this this generation of rap like is better or worse than it was like maybe back in like the 2010s, like the way you see it?
I really think it's better, and I say that knowing that there's a lot of on the surface, there's a lot of music that maybe misrepresents the growth that we've had lyrically, as a culture, and um, even though that we don't have the Tupacs and those kind of people at the forefront of music anymore, uh, the artists that there's a larger pool of those artists that are really lyricists, and some of the dopest MCs I've heard have been really just getting started and really in this era as opposed to that previous generation.
Right. Um, another question about the record labels. Do you feel like I'm gonna use Lupe Fiasco as example? Do you feel like record labels now understand the new wave or conscious rappers better than they did 11 years ago. And this is why I'm bringing up Lupe Fiasco, because if you knew Lupe Fiasco, when he dropped his first two albums, he was like the hybrid version of what a conscious rapper is supposed to be. Like what J. Cole and Kendrick are right now is what Lupe was supposed to be, even though I feel like the first two albums are classics. He was supposed to be, but Atlantic Records didn't know how to use him, and they were trying to make him like a B.O.B., a pop star, instead of just letting him grow on organically. Because if you watch his numbers was going up with each album. But do you feel like record labels now know how to understand how to use a conscious rapper more than it did, back then and maybe like the mid 2000s?
Um, it's hard to tell. I definitely feel like they've learned from that experience. I think Lupe's career, especially early on with those labels, is a huge example of how the labels can fumble and maybe not have all that an artist needs to succeed. Maybe not the right people in position, the right people that understand. But I definitely feel like labels have had the opportunity to grow. I don't really see a lot of that now. In terms of like we don't have a Lupe that's um, being curated by the labels in the same way. A lot of them are homegrown, artists that came up in an independent situation or maybe align themselves with a larger label. So I definitely feel like the labels could, they could have that ability to take a Lupe artist, style artist, and really take them to the next level. It kind of remains to be seen with the recent artists we've seen that have been dropped.
Yeah, the only rappers I remember that was a little bit after Lupe that like blew up was, remember the blog era? Blog era was right before like the SoundCloud, YouTube era. It was like the MySpace, early like Facebook, YouTube with like a couple like underground MCs, of course J. Cole and them. You had the Cool Kids and Charles Hamilton, all those guys. Like those guys were like next up, but if you like all of them, like they all got their labels fumbled the bag with them. If you know what I mean. I had a Chicago artist on here. He made similar music to you, and he's trying to be like you. Maybe you guys may have something in common in terms of like trying to see like maybe getting big features or on albums and stuff. How you feel about that?
Um, Definitely one of my goals as an MC is to just collaborate with just all type of great artists. MCs, just musically inclined people in general. And I really look at myself as being larger than an MC, but that's where my love and heart is at. So collabing with the greats, definitely something I got on the agenda.
Right, right. Do you have a new single? Is this a mixtape or an album or?
I've really been in a mode kind of just releasing singles as of late. I hadn't really recorded and dropped any new music in a while, and so it kind of took me really getting back to a space to where I was just ready to record and tell my story again. So I'm dropping a lot of singles, following up with some videos, and definitely an album coming soon. I want to put the pieces together a little bit more first, though.
Okay, okay. So you feel like you're going straight away to the album, or you going to just make it like you're not gonna make no mixtape, or you're gonna do mixtapes down the line, or?
Oh, absolutely. I got a lot of plans for mixtapes. I fell in love with rapping during the Lil Wayne mixtape era, and so that's always kind of been a part of how my creative process is. And so I definitely want to drop a lot of music that's just like, here you go. I look at it as a gift from me to my fans.
Right. Also, you been on shout out to hip hop Twitter. You been on hip hop Twitter before, or?
I'm just honestly getting familiar with it. I don't use social media a lot, but I definitely started peeping. I said, okay, hip hop Twitter is real and popping.
Yeah, they help blow up, a lot of these underground artists. That's why I was asking you. A lot, have you heard of I don't know if you heard of Red Vile. He's like one of the hottest new underground rappers right now. I think that Fantano review kind of blew him up. He's from the DMV. Yeah, he blew up off of hip hop Twitter. So I was asking if you were part of it, because that could help you with your little success that you were trying to aim for.
Definitely, that's my goal is to because I feel like that's my tribe. Like I really look at hip hop as being my culture that I live. I wake up, I'm listening to hip hop, I'm living hip hop, I'm walking around talking hip hop. And so being able to connect with everybody on that level is going to be real cool.
Right, right. Um, if you had to work for with one artist right now, who do you want to work with?
If I had to work with one artist, um, talking about dead or alive.
Uh, Dead or alive, any chance, anybody.
Oh, that changes everything. Um, okay. I'll say for at least for the now, uh, someone who's absolutely present. Jay Electronica would be
Uh,
an artist that I would choose to collab with.
yeah, Jay Electronica. That's one of the guys. And that comes off the top. He's one of the guys from the blog era too. Yeah, Jay Electronica is for sure fire. He's in my top 40, top 35. I wish he had
One,
dropped Act Two. That album. That probably could have been a possible classic. Uh, you know.
he's definitely one of the hip hop guys. Good people too. He put on for me in my city. Allowed me to get on stage and jam with him some years ago. Uh, so he's definitely somebody that I admire as an artist, but as a human being. He showed a lot of love to us, me and my crew.
Okay, so you're from New Orleans. Tell me more about that. Um.
I'm I'm, I'm from Sacramento, Sacramento, California.
Oh.
Um,
Oh, he put on.
we
I thought you meant like put on mean like from New Orleans because he's from New Orleans. You're from Sac.
yeah,
You from Cali. Okay. Okay.
yes sir. Yeah, no doubt. We just ran into each other on a tour run. You know what I'm saying? And it ended up being one of those things to where when we connected, from one real one to the next, he respected, show love. I respected, show love, and we ended up, just really being able to connect on that tip. But definitely on the music tip, that would be something that I would be looking forward to doing.
Okay. Okay. So on some music tip. Yeah, that's you. Yeah, I don't know a lot of artists from Sacramento, Cali. Of course, L.A. and Compton. Cube is in my top five, and all Compton. But Sacramento, I don't know a lot of artists. So maybe you would be like the top artist in Sacramento or put on for Sacramento if ever blow up and stuff. So that'd be cool.
Uh, it's an interesting space. Sacramento is like, we're the capital of California, but when you think of California, you often think of like LA or you think of the Bay Area. But man, when I say it's like it's a small pocket of gold out here. In terms of creativity, all kinds of artists on all levels. I mean, you got Mozzie right now that's kind of representing Sacramento in a certain section,
Oh,
doing his thing.
I,
And then but man, the artists that really talk that talk, they here and they popping.
I'm surprised. Mozzie's from Sacramento. I thought he was from like L.A. or something.
He definitely does a lot of work with artists from the SoCal, and that's cool. He creates that connection from NorCal to SoCal, and yeah, he from Oak Park, Sacramento, so he put
Oh.
on for us. You know what I'm saying? In that way, definitely tells that real side of Sacramento. There's a lot of other stories that I feel like we had to contribute to hip hop too.
So would you say you're more like I know because Cali does that G Funk West sound. So you said you were jazz rap. Would you say you're like alternative rap, like how Souls of Mischief or Hieroglyphs were? Alternative rap.
Yeah, I think it's definitely comparable to that, and more. But totally inspired by the G Funk era. Those artists that really took that soulful sound is something that I feel like it shows in my music a lot.
Okay, okay. Um, would So now you saying you're inspired. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna ask you this since we talking about rappers too. I wanted to ask who's your top five rappers of all time.
Top five, okay. Any order?
It could be out of order. Just who's your top
Okay.
five?
Okay. Top five. Uh, Pac,
Okay.
Biggie,
All right.
uh, Nas,
All right.
Rakim.
Okay.
I got
That's
one more. I got one more. I'm gonna definitely say Jigga. Oh, for sure.
okay.
But it's interchangeable. That's off of just one lane. We could go in a lot of directions. We're talking about top five performers, top five lyricists. You feel me? But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
definitely my top five just MCs.
Yeah. 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 That sounds similar to my list. I have Cube in my. I got
Cube
Bit.
belong there.
Huh? Cube's in my
Cube,
top five.
he definitely belongs there. Yeah, he's top five for sure.
And I actually have Jay-Z at 6, so that list sounds similar to mine. I got Big
I
as my
feel it.
dog.
That's arguable. I feel it.
Yeah,
That's real
yeah.
though.
So I mean, would you? I got a question. So you go to college there, college in Sacramento. I know you said you're from Sacramento, but you go to college there or whatever. Um,
Uh, Currently, I'm not in school. You feel me? I actually work as a digital music instructor. So I'm actually working with like middle school kids, teaching them, garage band, things like that, with a nonprofit organization I work with. Um, and I mean, I did go to college out here. I actually went to sound school, stuff like that. Didn't graduate with like a bachelor's or nothing, but you feel me? I was out here.
okay. So you're like a sound digital engineer like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your side hustle. Have you worked with any artists from your area yet, or anybody from around there?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different artists that I've connected with. I used to have a studio a few years back before the pandemic, where I ran into certain artists,
Hmm.
CML, Lavish D, people like Roddy J. Clyde. You feel me? Just kind of on the recording tip though. Collaborating, not really too much as an artist. This will kind of be my first season of really stepping out and doing a lot of collaborating on this next level.
Okay. Okay. So I got we got to the questions about rappers and all this. I wanted to get more to some other topics. How do you feel about the terms of the state of hip hop when it comes to like hip hop violence and Chicago and all that type of stuff, and the ignorance and stuff. How do you feel about that in terms of that?
It's tough because it stems from a whole lot, and I think it gets looked at and labeled as like hip hop is the reason for it, but there's so much trauma in these communities that this kind of violence is happening in. You look at for generations, going back even to slavery, these kind of things that people truly haven't healed from in these communities, and then pressure while they're in these communities, whether it's financial pressure, just social pressure, from the powers that be and things of that nature. So I think a lot of that contributes to the violence as well because we've been programmed to look at our brother and our sister. You feel me? As like, oh, I don't know if I could trust this person, um,
Right.
because that's what we've been taught and programmed to do. Versus looking at our family as our family and looking at our neighbor as our neighbor.
Right. 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 Do you feel like the radio stations and just the media in general like promotes like this violence? A lot of these white record labels don't know like that they're promoting like violence towards like kids and stuff like that, especially when people be on the internet and snitching on themselves and doing all that type of stuff. Do you feel like they know what they're doing and like it's kind of like making us look kind of sideways at them when they just promoting this stuff?
I think there's definitely awareness about how the certain things that's being put out there, and the messages that's being presented in regards to hip hop, in regards to Black and Brown communities. They know what kind of news they put out. They know how it emotionally triggers people, and affects people. So I definitely feel like there's a certain accountability that they have. Uh, that if they want things, if they truly care about people, and they want things to change, they got to start giving us the right energy, so we could put it back out into the universe. Because I definitely see that being a trend, a fear, kind of with the media.
Right, right. And specifically, a lot of people give a lot of hate to like people like DJ Academics and No Jumper and uh Shade Room, and I feel like I think they give a little hate towards DJ Vlad. But honestly, out of all those guys, I feel like a lot of people kind of have an understandable dislike for like people like DJ Vlad in terms of like of him promoting that. How do you feel about that?
I definitely stand with those folks who seek to like just clean up the culture. There's people out here that's misrepresenting the culture. Some people are doing it without awareness. Some people are, intently misrepresenting the culture, and those people do need to get dealt with because it's up to us to make sure that hip hop is cool for the next generation and we're not messing it up. You feel me? So I definitely appreciate those kind of efforts when it happens because if we don't deal with the weeds, you feel me, they grow tall.
Right, right. Um, yeah, I feel like they don't. I mean, as much as we have Kendrick and J. Cole and even Drake, who's not a conscious rapper but is an alternative uh, towards gangster rap and drill rap, I feel like there's not enough conscious rappers. Like people like Corday is like the only Corday and maybe Joey Badass is like the only rappers I think that's like next to coming up to blow up that are conscious rappers. I don't really see like conscious rappers or just regular rappers, like regular rappers like blow up no more. It's just everybody's like a street dude. Like there's no just regular rapper, normal like rapper at all. Do you feel like the same way I feel like they're just like that's like just promotion of just gangster rappers, like there's no other alternative?
I do see that shift in that uh the way the music is kind of looking, and the trends are kind of looking like the music was in early 2000, where it was kind of disconnected from the people. Not that it was bad music, it just had a certain fantasy element to it, and it didn't really show the real. Like it didn't really talk about real topics that people are dealing with. It seems like things are kind of in that era right now in a new way, but I think there's a lot of artists that are, really speaking, the heart of the people and really telling real stories and things of that nature. It's just they don't really get the promotion, like you said. Corday is only one of them. Joey's one of them. But there's a lot of those artists that don't really get that platform to represent on that level.
Right, right. So with that being said, I know you from Sacramento, so I'm gonna ask you about some of your politics and Cali. I heard that you guys have like an anti-violence movement, and I don't know if that was with Big U or any of the some of the OGs down in there. Do you guys like go with the who's your governor in there? I don't know too much about Cali.
Fam, I keep it 100, man. I try and stay away from those kind of politics. Just to kind of keep that fear that comes along with those politics out of my creative space. So I actually don't know who the governor is right now. You feel me? But yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. And
word up.
word up, word up. Oh, I'm no. Oh no. I mean, not like I don't know what you think you talking about other politics. I'm talking about like the like governor politics, not like the you know the other politics you're talking about. If you get
Yeah,
yeah.
like even in the government, you feel me? That's yeah. I'm not familiar with who that is right now.
Oh,
I know
okay.
they was talking about doing elections soon, but yeah, I'm not familiar.
Okay. Okay. I also wanted to ask you, how is it easier to get on the radio down in Cali compared to like everywhere else in the states?
It definitely seems like there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of independent radio stations and things like that that give opportunities to artists all throughout California. I think there's certain areas more so than others just because of the industries, being a little bit larger in the Bay areas and things like that. But there's totally opportunity.
Uh, that's cool actually. That'd be independent radios. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I know. I have you ever like was your wait? Would your goal would be to like be on a double XL magazine if double XL gave you a call and was like, "You're the hottest artist of the year. We're gonna get you on the cover." Would that be cool or whatever? Be on the cover and stuff like that, or you're not really like into like accolades like that.
I definitely I look at those kind of achievements as cool. Something that I definitely wouldn't I would appreciate it and I'd be honored by stuff like that. But only under the circumstances of me doing things the way I want to do it. I would never want to feel like I had to be a certain way or make a certain kind of song to do that or to get that kind of achievement. Because then it just wouldn't feel right, overall. Uh, but I respect those platforms because I mean, for the most part, they've held hip hop down for years before the internet. You feel me and stuff like that. So I definitely I look at that as an accomplishment.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So you like, are you trying to say like you wouldn't want to like a sellout pop song? Like you don't want to make that type of song to get on that magazine.
Right, right. If I could talk my talk, and be respected and represented, and notice for that, then that's like okay, I'm cool with that.
Okay, okay. I got we got a couple more minutes. I get 5 more minutes.
For sure.
I'm gonna ask you like two more questions and then we can wrap it up. So my second question is I asked you who's your top five of all time. I'm gonna ask you who's your top five right now.
Oh, okay. Top five right now. Uh, Fabulous. He's always just his consistency. He's been one of my favorites. Uh,
Hmm.
Jay Electronica.
Okay.
Just the debut album and everything leading up to it, just legendary. He's definitely top five right now.
Hmm.
Um, Cole, J.
Okay.
Cole, and just overall, he hasn't missed. So he's definitely a top five. Uh,
Hmm.
Man, I've been slapping a lot of Benny the Butcher lately. Uh,
Yeah, Griselda. I like Griselda.
yeah, Benny is he's on point, man. It's he's somebody that got me excited about rap. And for in a long time, ain't nobody really done that. So he's I say he's top five right now. Uh, I want to say Kendrick, he just ain't dropped. So
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
um,
that gave me another question too.
yeah, what's up?
So you seen that Mount Rushmore, Mount Rushmore list of each era, like
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I heard it got a lot of backlash. People, didn't feel like Chance the Rapper was in 2014 to 18. They didn't like his music from last year, whatever. You got your top five, which is what Benny the Butcher, Jay Electronica, and all that. And, I feel like that's a good list, though. That would be good. That would be a good Mount Rushmore for 2021 to up to now. How do you feel about the Mount Rushmore list?
I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I do feel like it does create that conversation and that debate sometimes. You feel me? Where people are like wrong era, or maybe he wasn't them. But I think it's dope to acknowledge these artists and what they doing in the same way. We got these presidents up there. What I'm saying, they ain't done nothing for me. You feel me? Why can't we acknowledge these artists that have done these things to help guide our paths and help us understand experiences that we deal with as we live our lives?
True, and a lot of these people on the Mount Rushmores, we ain't really like care about like that, like in terms of like they didn't really do too much. But
For real.
yeah. But I appreciate the legends and all that. Shout out to like Rakim and Big Daddy Kane and Jay Z and Kendrick and DMX, RP DMX. My last question is: do you feel like the underground scene is better than it was when Mos Def and Talib were like the peak of underground in like the 2000s, and of course you got MF Doom. But eventually I heard, I wouldn't. Would I consider Mos Def underground? Because he kind of did blow up. I'm gonna ask you the question. How do you feel if this was a better era or it's better accessible for underground now?
Um, accessibility wise, I think artists have a lot more avenues. Artists are doing things like creating businesses. That was something that a lot of the times those artists like Mos Def and MF Doom, they were able to do, but maybe because of their deal, not on the same kind of scale, or because of the technology, not on the same kind of in the same kind of way. So I look at the accessibility for sure being a little bit better. Well, I really enjoy those artists from that era. Rest in peace, Doom. You feel me? He's somebody that to this day I play for my students. You know what I'm saying? I rock with it on a daily. Black Star too. All that music. I think there's artists today that really learn from them. I'm one of them. So I do think that there's a little bit more of a evolution. Today for sure.
For sure. All right. Shout out to DNT podcast. This is my man Cam on here. Go check out his music. I'm gonna put his description of his Twitter. You got an Instagram?
Yes, sir. Cam underscore 191.
Well, shoot me in the DMs. Shout out to him. I'll put his Instagram, Twitter in his description. His Twitter might have SoundCloud or you got Spotify, whatever up there, or
Yes, sir. All
that music. Go check it out. Be hyped. He's gonna be dropping new music. And this interview should be coming out by tomorrow. And peace.
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 I appreciate the opportunity, fam. Good looking out.
You too.
All right, bro. Peace.
Peace.